Fellow teachers and young friends, students of linguistics, Deccan College, Pune, I really feel happy addressing you, especially on forensic linguistics, which I always tease friends, Ubhaya Jivi. Both you should know a bit of linguistics, a bit of law. God has been very kind to me. I started with syntax, went over to phonology for PhD, and then also brought in semantics and stylistics. And then somehow, for some reason, got interested in law, did LLB from Osmania, LLM from Kakatiya, and PhD from Nalsar. And because I am from the linguistics background, my thesis was on semiotics of legal language. Much before that, this is 2013. When I got my legal law PhD, I was 70. So I tell friends, age is no bar for acquisition of knowledge. It can be to get married and all that. But for acquisition of knowledge, age is no bar. And 2006, I wrote a paper on Indian Evidence Act. Somehow it reached your department, and in the information, the professor wrote to me asking me to give a talk, and I said, why not? As it's always happens with me, I start from the scratch. I don't assume a lot of knowledge from your side, nor do I assume too much for myself. So I start from the base. What is forensic linguistics? Forensic medicine and all that. Forensic linguistics, another name is legal linguistics or language in the law. These are different terms used. In the application or is the application of linguistic knowledge, methods and insights to the forensic contexts of law, language, crime investigation, trial and judicial procedure. And all this you will have. Written law is there. To understand that you need language. Then you need language, and you have to understand the language in judicial process. And while giving evidence, also language. See, even judgments weigh every word. And it's a very interesting thing. Professor John Gibbons made a fantastic remark. Law is the most linguistic of institutions. There is absolutely no part of legal procedure without language. Same thing I tell people. Some people say, oh, I'm into literature, I'm not interested in linguistics and language. How can literature exist without language? So I call it dialectics of language and literature. Without language, there is no literature. Literature is the natural use of language. If a grammarian creates very artificial sentences, he can't carry the students with him. But if he takes sentences from a poem or a prose piece or a play, I see. That's why I always teach grammar through poetry. And I always teach a poem with the help of language. That's why I've been very happy with stylistics. That is language and literature. Forensics linguistics is language and law. So law is the most linguistic of institutions. Without language, there is no law. Sentences have to be that. Of course, you will be surprised. Some of the legal statements are of high level of literature, prose literature. Anyway, now let us also bring in what is this language. Law we have said, but what is language? You may say, we are students of linguistics, we know. I told you I start from the beginning. Language has its own trident. You may say, what is trident doing here? Trident is Trishulam. You should not think Trishulam is only for Lord Shiva. Three. Here three is language has substance. You speak, that is the material it is made of. Language has structure, the lexicogrammatical structure. Language has signification, so trident. Substance, structure, and signification. The signification is very peculiar. Some aspect of meaning is purely language based. Certain aspects of meaning are a little away, little above. So I call it code, that's language. Code based meaning, the user based, the coder based meaning. Coder based meaning we study under pragmatics. Code based meaning we study under semantics. Together, semics. So, signification under semics, structure under lexicogrammar, and substance under phonology / graphology, because we don't always talk about speech, we also talk about writing. So, the language has its trident. And mind you, when you use language for law, all the three will come. I was a student of Nagpur University. When for some reason I used the word woost. What is woost? Woost from service. I said, what is woost? O-U-S-T. Oh, oust. We say wrongly woost. Nagpurian said nothing doing. It is oust. I remember so beautifully when I was teaching at Dr. Ambedkar College of Arts and Commerce, Diksha Women Nagpur. I, as a typical Telugu man from Sarkar districts, I used to say H. One Sottake, BCom student, when this was 1964, 65. Sir, is H, not H. Like a foolish fellow, early stages, no, I said H. Said, no, sir, it is H. I said H. Then that boy was so smart, he kept mum. Smart people don't argue with foolish ideas. I mean, they don't argue with people when the other fellow is totally wrong. He kept mum. I went home, looked up all the dictionaries. Everywhere it is written H. And I went to all the 6 classes where I was teaching. Sorry, Shantake corrected me. It is H. A, B, C, D, E, F. Some of us say F. F, G, H. I always remember that boy Shantake, BCom student. कब की बात है जी 1964 June or July. So that is how we learn. Actually, a teacher is always a learner. Vishesh, I know already everything. Bakwas, whether it's linguistics or physics or anything, you have to learn. Okay. Now, This language has substance, language has structure, language has signification. And when I say language has structure, lexicographer, that is the lexical items you have grammar. It is a peculiar thing. Prepositions, conjunctions, and pronouns, they all have grammatical values. In lexical items like butterfly, honeybee, these are lexical items, more meaning oriented. But every lexical item has its own grammar, every grammar has its own reference. On is a preposition with a meaning. Upon is a preposition with its meaning. So Halliday used to say lexicogrammatical cline, CLINE. It is a continuity. Okay. Now, what human beings use is called language, whereas other animals and birds have their own communication systems, but not as complex as human beings' communication system. So language as we use it now is species uniform. All human beings have language, wherever they may be, and it is species specific. Okay, language is biologically determined. Lenneberg and all that, language and mind. Language is biologically determined, culturally transmitted, psychologically monitored, and sociologically used. The moment you bring in sociologically used literature, law, everything will come in. Lecture, technical subjects. There is nothing you can communicate to others without the use of language. You may say, no, sir, while talking, you are using your hands. That is body language. If someone says, would you like to have a glass of water? If I just nod, yes. Some messages can be conveyed only with body language, yes, but not serious issues. So it is socially used. And what is law? We have talked about forensics, language, no law. Law is the body or system of rules recognized by a community. System, recognition, community. The body or system of rules recognized by a community that are enforceable, enforceable by established process. You cannot say, I am saying this, nahi chalega. The rule of law is important. There is an established process. Even the most difficult chief minister will have to say, yeah, law doesn't tell me ki kara. Me ki kara shayad is, me is, I think Punjabi. Because I spent 11.5 years in Patiala, 4 years in Nagpur. So there's Marathi bhi aa jandi hai. In all my classes in Patiala, so Thamba. They say, what is Thamba? Thamba is Marathi to say wait. Kya karo? Aa jati hai. So we have already said, John Gibbons' idea, law is the most linguistic of institutions. Legalese or legal register, these are the terms used, captures the way a given language is used to create legal discourse, which may take the following forms: legislative texts passed by Parliament or Legislative Assembly, contracts, deeds, wills, Judge-made law, judge-made law is a little more common in America, but it is also there now in India. I'll give you an interesting example. Someone got drunk and was driving the car and he met with an accident. The judge punished the hostess who gave more drinks. So, madam, don't you know that he's going to drive? You caused the over drinking, and so he is not on the basis of an American constitution. The judge made law. You cannot question it. Judge counsel exchanges, counsel exchanges, counsel witness exchanges, textbooks, all these come under legal discourse. When you discuss the way language is used in all these areas, you are discussing forensic linguistics. Now, there are, the moment we said लेक्सिको ग्रामर, उच्चारण की बात भी आ जाती है. That we are not going to discuss in detail here. Ucharan means pronunciation. I remember a friend of mine in Hyderabad. He said, very, very. He was from Indore. He was a Rajasthan. Did you have many Maharashtrian teachers in Indore? He said, yes. How do you know? Because I know Nagpur. V is Maharashtrian pronunciation of V. W is wa. V is v. Very. But Maharashtrians add a bit of aspiration. Very. So that's how. There's a, what is it? Detergent powder. WHEEL. They write V and H. Wheel. Ucharan is wheel. So he said, that is how we know. If a Telugu man says something, are you from Andhra? Yes, because Ucharan says it. Okay. Lexicon, all words used in different legal discourses are not necessarily of the same rank, same style. Some words are primarily legal. Some words are secondarily legal. Some words are tertiarily legal. You may say, भाई ये सब कहाँ मिलता है? मेरी writing मिलता है. I tell you how. A student of mine in Patiala wrote an MPhil thesis on legal discourse, legal lexicon. I mean, lexicographer of legal, a legalese or something. Now he is in Canada. So I had to do a lot of work, and by then I had not done my law, but my father was always interested in my doing law, and later I did it. There are certain terms only you will get in law. ESTOPPEL is stoppel. It is not mispronunciation of stoppel. It is ESTOPPEL, is stoppel. What does it mean? Estoppel is, you have made an admission. If you want to contradict it, estoppel will come in. That is an admission which you cannot contradict. I think it's original French spelling. That has been taken because common law we have taken from British law. British have taken many terms from Latin, French, well, sometimes even Greek. So, estoppel is, I think, a French origin. The meaning is admission which cannot be contradicted. Stop. That's primarily legal. It won't be anywhere else. Similarly, tort feesa. This is a very peculiar thing. Tort is a minor offense without much of intention. You throw a stone on a tree for mango. Mango doesn't fall. The stone falls on a person sitting there. there is no mens rea, legal intention. You did not want to hit him. So it will be taught, minor offense. You will be, you will have to pay fine. But who is the fellow who committed that? He is called tort feeser. Fease, fees. That is not regularly used in English. Fees is to do. Latin is facere. In law they use indefeasibility, malfeasance. So I asked one linguist, with no offense meant. No, I'm sometimes mischievous also, you might forgive me. I said, how many morphemes are there in feasible? He said, only one. Able is their ability, but what would fees? But we don't use it now. I said, my dear friend, Hockett, in his introduction to a course in modern linguistics or something, talks about unused stem, that is fees. Feasible, fees is unused stem. Later, Lakoff talked about that irregularity in syntax, a full PhD thesis. This is the point. Feasible is fees plus able. Fees is not used. Put a star mark. Why unused? To QA. Then I looked up the facere, malfeasant, indefeasible. These are part of our legal lexicon. Now, similarly, plaint is a technical term. Someone gives a letter to the court, hey, someone has stolen my blah blah. That the first procedure, first statement you give it plaint. Now, secondarily legal. That you take a word from ordinary language. In ordinary language, it has a meaning, clear use, but here you use it differently. Determination of the case. Determination of the case. Determination is conclusion. This is a legal use of the word determination. Okay. Third one, tertiarily legal. But someone says, nahi yaar, ye secondary, koi baat nahi. It's a matter of analysis. Tertiarily legal. Unmeaning. Indian Evidence Act. If your expression or what you have given is unmeaning, some other evidence, some other thing can be brought in to mean it. So the example is, I am in Hyderabad, I am in Tarnaka. I say, I am herewith, I am selling my house in Hapshiguda to so and so. I take advance. That man says, come and sell. What sell? I don't have a house in Hapshiguda. In writing it's Hapshiguda. I cannot get out of the case saying, then Indian evidence says, if Hapshiguda is unmeaning, wherever you have a house, that is the meaning. I have a house in Hapshiguda, only half a kilometer, Tarnaka half a kilometer. We rarely use in regular, we don't use it regular way. But very interestingly, I asked a very good, I would call him lexicographer, Professor M.L. Tiku. He is no more. Dictionary maker, wonderful teacher. I was wondering whether he would know it. Mr. Tiku, do you understand the word unmeaning? After all, he was a lexicographer. He said, I have never heard this expression earlier, but I think it is like unbecoming. Because lexical juice his head was filled with. I think it is like unbecoming. Becoming, unbecoming. Meaning, unbecoming. Unmeaning. That is how the one who has lot of ideas will recapture it. Unmeaning, that is, which doesn't mean, that I called tertiarily legal. Because unmeaning to समझ में आ गई, because he was a lexicographer. Then I said, yes, maybe many other people also will get it. Now, another distinction I brought in to understand legal terms. Every legal term, no, before that, I'll say something else. I told you about semantics and pragmatics. Cow is a milk giving animal. Shanghai, cow plus animate plus animal plus bovine. Animate cattle will be background. Bovine referencing. Gives milk referencing. But if we want to add sacred, that is restricted to the user's culture. That is pragmatics, not semantics. Similarly, in legal terms, if you want, I'll give you another mischievous example. Husband. Yes, mischievous examples people remember better. Husband plus animate, agreed. Plus human, agreed. Plus male, agreed. Plus spouse, agreed. Spouse is the real thing. Here I want to add plus authority. People say nonsense. He is equal to us. So authority will be pragmatic. People have to accept it. In Mahabharata it is said the relationship between husband and wife is sneha bandham. ये authority कहते जी is only socially acquired, pretended also. Many husbands don't have any authority, or they pretend as if they are the bosses. ये तो होता है जिंदगी. So, in a legal term has three aspects: background, presupposition; assertion, foreground, like cattle, spouse; entailment, association. See, they are married couple, they are spouses. Background of man and woman. They are married. It is entailed that they also have sexual relationship. Well, recently there is a problem. So the question is questioning the entailment. But not the central point, married. Well, they are no longer spouses, recently divorced. That you are denying that part. Similarly, I always give my Punjabi example. Paramjit can be a girl's name or a boy's name. Paramjit Singh, Paramjit Kaur. And उसकी short form है पम्मी. Says, Pammi को बुलाओ. Then friend says, is Pammi your daughter? No, 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 my nephew. Now look at this. Is Pammi your daughter? What is daughter? Human, female, offspring. What is he denying? He is not denying female. He is not denying animate or human. He is denying offspring. So whenever we say no, this is it. Here I would just refer to a theory called apoha, Buddhist theory of meaning. Apoha. Your daughter is not your son. Is Pambi your son? No, no, no. She's my daughter. So daughter negates non-daughter relationships. Anya Poha Ratnakirti, very big discussion. Apoha, Buddhist theory of meaning. It went to China, from China came back to India, and Dhirendra Sharma did his PhD on that in London. When you look at, see, these many town people, city people, a 5-year-old boy cannot make a distinction between a calf or a sheep. Because, one, of course, now TV is there, they see. I remember a cousin of mine, he looked at a sheep, said, Anna, kuka, dog. No, 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 it's not a dog, it is sheep. What's happening? Sheep is not goat. Sheep is not dog. Sheep is not calf. I remember one first I went to Nagpur in 1962. For the first time I saw white goats. I said, भाई ये क्या है? ये बकरियां सफेद, हाँ हाँ यहाँ होता है. So when you identify a goat, you are saying it is not sheep, it is not calf, it is not dog. This is apoha. That is, every identification presupposes differentiation. Are you a professor? No, 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 no. I'm still assistant professor. I'm not promoted yet. Means an assistant professor is one who is not an associate yet, who is not a professor yet. This is apoha theory of meaning. These things do become important when you are trying to refer to something in a court of law. Sorry, sir, this is not that. That is a different. Oh, I see. That is apoha. So, presupposition, background, assertion, and entailment. You would be wondering, I have written notes on the basis of my paper as well as my PhD thesis for this talk. Syntax is very interesting. That has really created problems for many people, and they grumble. I don't grumble. I tell you why. Legalese or legal texts are a class apart. They are not personal letters. Many constituent clauses with the readers like provided, provides, etc. Sometimes whole paragraph. If any of you have by chance read Dream Children by Charles Lamb, the whole paragraph is one sentence with semicolons and commas. I didn't know. I don't know whether he had any legalistic thinking. Because if there is only a semicolon and a comma, no one can say, I will not take the next part of the sentence. Kyonji? It's not a full stop. It is not a full stop. Yes, we have to read it. That is why legal syntax, legal language is quite complex. When I was interviewed for my PhD admission, someone said, would you object to this complex language? I said no, because legal language has a separate existence. They were very happy because in plain English movement, they wanted to say, no, you should not try it. The moment you put a full stop, the lawyer will say, sir, next part comes separately. This is only this sentence. If there is only comma or semicolon, you cannot say no, sub yahi pe hai. Many constituent clauses will be there. Then The whole sentence of what? Maybe 8 clauses, 10 clauses will be linked. More importantly, sometimes, notwithstanding this, something else, also in consonance with, also in connection with, if there is a reference, you have to go back to that and take it. If in any religious text, it says you can punish your wife, no free punish, no free permission. If wife does something wrong, take her inside a room, close the door, and punish her. Very mischievous. There's something more. My wife said, she was reading, why close the door? Because in Telugu we have a proverb. She was not unhappy that husband slapped her, but husband's sister saw it. She says, yes. Number one, this punishment is not to insult her. The punishment is not to insult her, to correct her the way we correct children. Ramcharitmanas also says it. औरत बच्चों को करेक्ट करना है. And in that sacred text, it is also said, the way you punish it as if you are touching with a flower, miswak flower. So if anyone says, my book allows me to beat my wife, he is 200% wrong. Your book allows you to guide her by ये मत करो, ऐसे क्यों किया, मेरी मम्मी से क्यों आग्रह किया, ये नहीं. God never allows you freedom to thrash others, except in fighting. वो वक्त कर लाए, डिस्कम डिस्कम करो. Clear rule: don't punish women, don't punish unarmed people, don't punish children. That is not real punishment. This is only make them realize. अपने बच्चे को तुम मार डालोगे नहीं, ऐसा मत करो, ठीक है पा, ठीक है डैडी. So clarity should be there in your mind. You cannot misquote a scripture. Okay, I always go this way, that way. Anyway, the interesting thing with legal syntax is it does not refer to something, it does not describe something, it defines something. Legal syntax is definitional. ADULT, adult, is defined from time to time. Earlier 18 years, now 21 years. If you carefully observe, in Indian context, a father is supposed to treat his 16-year-old son as equal, as a friend. 16 साल. A guru should give freedom to the 16-year-old boy to question his teaching. In Islam also, 16 is the age of adulthood, not 18, 21. And mind you, when did Krishna raise Mount Govardhan? He was 7 years old. This is all symbolic. 7 साल में क्या होता है? बच्चे होश में आते हैं. They become aware of the world. At the age of 7, he is raising the mountain, means he is getting to understand the world. He is getting rid of ignorance. And at the age of 16, he kills cancer, adult. Time of action. So 7 to 16 is the time of collection of data and preparing the mind for action. This is the symbolism. Anyone who reads any sacred text or old Puranas blindly, he will get nothing. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Puran. ये फलश्रुति गुलश्रुति छोड़ दो. Acquire knowledge. That's very important. So, age of 16, adult. Let us say the word adult should be defined. Adult definition will be only for human. Depending upon the context, it will be 16 years, 18 years, 21 years. The other part is you have to define, yes, certain responsibilities. The moment, yeah, you have now become adult. Don't you know you have to do this? Adult age to ho gaya, but there are also responsibilities. I'm adult. I can see this movie. Hanji, but you also have responsibilities. छोटे बच्चे को नाल नहीं लाना था. You should not have brought younger children. गलत किया. वही तो है. So, definition, I said legal language is, legal texts are, the maxims are mainly definitional. Ambiguity is not possible. I will show an example how ambiguity made I'll show you what it is. Ambiguity is not permitted. Redundancy is allowed. A little more repeat करने से कोई इतराज नहीं, because it has to be clear. Entropy not allowed. Entropy is short. When you say, blessed are my brothers, my sisters, my parents, blah blah blah, all of them are blessed now. That is entropy, because the word blessed is not there. Every line has blessed in Bible. Same thing in Sukhmani Sahib. Prabhu ke Simran, Prabhu ke Simran, Prabhu ke Simran. In religious texts, repetition is allowed. Some may say redundancy. No. Each line is quotable. Prabhu ke Simran garb nabase. If you sparan, if you chant the name of the Lord all the time in your mind, you will not get rebirth. Moksha garb nabase. So blessed are the meek, not the fighters, not the aggressive characters. That is blessing. Bible. No entropy. Entropy is non-availability of signals. Redundancy is availability of signals more than required. So legal language cannot allow symbolic use of words yielding contradiction or contradictory results. ये नहीं चलेगा. So when legal terminology is analyzed, you have background feature, assertive feature, essential feature, and conclusive feature. I'll give only a couple of examples. Assault. Now, if you hit a sheep, you cannot say you assaulted a sheep. If the buffalo comes and hits the boy, you cannot say the buffalo assaulted. Buffalo assaulted. Assault means both parties should be persons. Background. He killed a snake. You cannot say he murdered a snake. Murder can be used only when both are human. See, background feature. And then murder ke liye creating cessation of life. So assault, threatening behavior. Then there is something called conclusive or essential feature. I mean, additional feature, entailment. He should have the ability to give a threat. An 80-year-old man with a stick he is going around. A 50-year-old strong man says, "Sir, he assaulted me." Yeah, ठीक है, he has a stick in his hand. He's not able even to walk. सोच के बोला हाँ ये तो है. So he doesn't have the ability to attack, assault. So assault is removed. This is how words are recognized. Now, complexity, I told you, no symbolism, no confusion, should be exact, precise, definitional. I'll take you to, there is an example from here, page number 54. Look, I'll read, only for the sake of illustration, I'll read a section. If such a confession is otherwise relevant, John Butchker, I'm giving in, what is that? Punctuation marks, comma. It does not become irrelevant merely. You cannot say it does not become irrelevant for the following reasons, full stop. Now, if such a confession is otherwise relevant, it does not become irrelevant merely, number one, because it was made under a promise of secrecy. నేను అన్నానండి కానీ ఒక సీక్రెట్ గుంస్తా అన్నాడు, no excuse. Or number two, in consequence of a deception practiced on the accused person for the purpose of obtaining it, comma, మీ భాష పడే చెప్పనే మోసం చేశావు. No. Did I use Telugu? Your boss said say that, so you can't use that as an excuse. No excuses. Or three, when he was drunk, comma, or because it was made in answer to questions which he need not have answered, whatever may have been the form of more questions. Sir, he asked those questions, I answered, you should not have asked me. No. Or, comma, or. देखो ना, comma, or. मतलब the section is not complete. Because he was not warned that he was not bound to make such confession, comma. And 6, that evidence of it might be given against him. They did not tell me that they will use it against me now. You should not have said it, period. If you split it into 3-4 sentences, mar jayenge. The lawyer says, sir, that sentence is not important. This sentence is complete. That is why any change should keep in mind a denial of the possibility of denying, the possibility of getting wrong interpretation. If you can deny that, if you allow to say this won't be given wrong interpretation, take. Otherwise, we have got to take care of it. Then ambiguity, I am going to take you somewhere else. This is this is Muslim Women Act 1986. These are part of my thesis discussion. Now this sentence, that is why the one who prepared the act, I only hope it was not intended, he made a mistake. He says, sir, we played game. हमें की पता है जी, माहित नहीं. So we say, this is, look at this sentence. A reasonable and fair provision and maintenance language is a very peculiar game. Old MLA quarters. Are the quarters old or MLAs are old? Both possible. These are quarters for old MLAs. No, we had old MLA quarters. Quarters built long ago. But old can be, the scope of reference may be MLS or quarters. This is important. That is why legal statements have to be very carefully planned. A reasonable and fair provision and maintenance to be made and paid to her within the iddat period by her former husband. The husband says, Dekho ji, my maintenance is restricted to iddat period. But the wife's lawyer says, Nahi ji, there were judgments like that. That's why I took that example. No such thing. The provision has to be made within the 3 months. But the maintenance paid for 2 years. There's some rule. Because bache viche hai. A reasonable and fair provision and maintenance to be made and paid to her within the iddat period by her former husband. The provision should be made within the iddat period and you have to pay every month. You cannot say paid and provision and maintenance to be made and paid. So, this is how, where a reasonable and fair provision and maintenance or the amount of mahr or dower due has not been made or paid, or the properties referred to in clause D of subsection have not been delivered to a divorced woman or blah blah, all kinds of problems the husband will have to face. Then there is something more actually. What is this? Baap re baap. I was looking for something else, namely the word notwithstanding. वो भी यहीं पे है. Is a killer. Right. Look at this. पता नहीं वो. Notwithstanding anything contained in any other law for the time being in force, a divorced woman shall be entitled to. The word notwithstanding, I will not go further, was judge refers to it. Baap re baap. The word notwithstanding is a formal expression mainly used in legal documents. The term refers to the fact that what is intended cannot be impeded by something else. That is why the people who do MA in English and linguistics, if they also do law, they will be super success. You may say, why English? Why mainly most laws are in English? Why linguistics? You have to interpret the documents also in Marathi, Telugu, and Hindi. Actually, some of our people should have a 5-year degrees, law, English, and linguistics. That word notwithstanding, that word and within, oh, Bapre Bap. That's it. So any definition has to be precise. You cannot take liberty with language. I think, my dear friends, I'll stop here. Inshallah, if I participate in your discussion, I will also be ready to take questions from you. Otherwise, your fellow teachers, my fellow teachers will take care of it. Thank you.
ఇది తీసుకుంటారు కట్ చేసిన తర్వాత